Hi, and welcome to Drawing Expressions. My name is Aleesha Sattva, and I'm here to hang out with you in my garden and do some tangles. So let's do it. Let's do it. Today I'm going to be using a couple of microns. Nothing too terribly fancy. I'm using large ones because I want you to be able to see on camera really well. And then I'm going to use some Faber-Castell dual markers. Just an assortment of colors, really. That's it. But before we get started, let's take a second. Take a nice deep breath. So let's inhale together. Hold your breath for a moment and then exhale. You might want to make a pot of tea, perhaps light a candle. I've already lit a candle off to the side. So let's get started. It's warm here in Thailand. Today is one of our better air quality days, because we're in the smoky season. So I thought I would just jump out here and create a video for you. So let's do this. The first tangle that I'm going to teach you today is I'm going to go over one that I did in my last video, and it is called Holabao. The reason that I'm going to do this one again is because when I showed you in the last video, I don't know if I explained it very well, so I want to explain it better this time. So as you can see, I'm making some nice long lines that are relatively straight. And how you do that is you lock your shoulder, your elbow, and your wrist. And then when you're ready to draw the line, you pull from your shoulder, and that will make your line straighter. It's not going to make it perfect. We're not going for perfection here. We're just going for better. That's it. So with Holabao, the concept is that you draw one line, and then when you do the next line, you are now going behind what you drew before. So we always turn our page so that our wrist is as comfortable as possible, because you'll find that you don't tire as quickly. And this kind of art is actually really good for pain relief. It's good for stress relief. So always remember to breathe. And then as we're drawing the next line, I'm going to draw my line down, and I'm going to pause when I get to the other line that I've drawn. And then I'm going to continue on from there to the end of the page. And then I'm going to do the same thing and just follow that line and pause and continue on. So the reason that I wanted to cover this again is because of the concept of when we draw tangles using the Zentangle method, we are always, whatever line we're putting down is now in front of any next line that we put down. That's the concept. And so when you draw something, now when you draw something next, you're going to go behind it. And so it's building on that, and you can get a really nice three-dimensional look depending on how much shading you do using this technique. So I'm not going to do more Holabao than this. I just want like a little cradle to happen on my page, but I want you to understand the concept of drawing in front of and drawing behind, because that's not how you do things when you're doing art necessarily, and so it kind of shifts your focus a little bit. So the first tangle, I'm really excited to teach this, by the way. I am going to have images put up of the different ways that I've used this tangle over the last week and a half, and I am so excited to teach this. I really love this tangle. It's super versatile. Most tangles I find their versatility is quite limited. This one isn't. So let's do this. It's called tabs. T-A-B-S. Tabs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a line, and we're going to use this holland bow as sort of an opportunity to incorporate it into what we're doing. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to go around, and I'm going to come down. So I've allowed a lot more of the holland bow to be incorporated without it being too much right from the start, because you're going to want to follow this along with me. So we've got this first line. Now what I want you to do is go in and at different intervals add in the letter D, and that's on both sides, and it can be whatever shape you want it to be. This is your first lines that you're putting down. And your shapes do not have to be perfect. My hands are really shaking today, and so my lines are not going to be pretty. And you know what? That's okay. It's still relaxing. I still enjoy doing it, and I kind of like wonky lines. So if I have to choose a perfect line over a wonky line, I'll take a wonky line any day. I actually do things so that my lines are more wonky, like, you know, lined contours, things like that, so that I get a really wonky line. I really like that look. So now we've put our little tabs onto this tangle, and now we're going to draw an aura around it. And when we do an aura, that means that you are drawing around a line or a shape that you have already created. So we're going to start at the top here, and I am going to follow this line, and I'm going to draw an aura around. Now, I don't have to follow it perfectly. It doesn't have to be something that the shape makes sense. It can be any shape I want it to be. So it can be really bulbous if I want, or it can be really, really, really like close and symmetrical and not moving too much. I have more cameras set up today, so I am hoping that your viewing pleasure is going to be increased tremendously with all of my cameras. So please do comment. Let me know, are the cameras better? If you have suggestions for me, please. I'm brand new to this type of teaching. I'm used to teaching on Zoom, where people just call out, I can't see you. But when it's an empty room, you don't have anybody saying, yeah, that camera angle would be better if. Let's all remember to breathe. Okay, so now I have a nice aura drawn all around that for one camera. And so now what we're going to do, we have a choice right now. Like, you can go off in a lot of different directions. As you can see by my examples, I did. So this is sort of your stepping off point. Now I'm going to teach you the tangle in the simplest form. And then you can take it however you want. So here we go. We're going to start again. We're going to do a line and we're going to stop like column bow before we get to this first shape. And then we're going to start again and we're going to continue on and we're going to pause again, just like column bow. Start and pause. So this is what I call rinse and repeat. Just do the same thing over and over again. And you would do this on both sides if you wanted. Now, here's another part of the tangle. Before we go any further, before we keep doing these rinse and repeat, I want to show you another way to do this. So you're going to want more than one line of tabs, obviously, right? So you're going to want to also incorporate another line coming in, and it doesn't have to follow the same curves of what you drew before, right? This is new. And now you can go in and you can add some tabs in on this side. And some of these tabs might go behind the other tabs. Some might go off the page. I love putting stuff off the page. I'm a huge fan of that. And your shapes don't all have to be the same, by the way. You could use squares, you could use triangles, you could make little blobs. You could do whatever you want to do. You do you. That is my motto in life. You do you. So let's take a moment and just remember to breathe. There's no rush. We're not in a hurry. This is a really great way to pass time when you're at a doctor's office, anywhere that you have to sit and wait. A lot of people do this on, when they're flying. I've tried, and man, it's hard to do any kind of line at all with a plane pitching around. But I mean, if you can do it, yeah, that's awesome. Keep turning your page so that your hand is in a really nice comfy position, very relaxed. So you can see we've got these two sections now. So I have a choice to make. To do the form that I was teaching you, I would continue on drawing these lines. Rinse and repeat, pausing, going around, and continuing to build forward. Now I can have the lines touch at times so that they start to look like there's a bit of a crease in the fold, in the fabric of time. And I can start to slowly build two towards each other by coming in and working on this side. And again, I'm going to have my fabrics touch each other. So I don't want to give a really perfect amount of space. I just want to allow it to sort of unfold. So I'm going to make it so that I've done a few on each side, and then I'll continue on. Okay, now if I wanted to, I mean, I could go crazy and come in with another line behind all of this stuff and add tabs to it. Because there's no rules here. It's whatever you want. Whatever you feel like doing in that moment. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Now these lines are going behind, so I'm going to want to tuck some of these, because that's going to look really good, in my opinion, as I go forward. Okay, so now I'm going to come and I'm going to do that same aura around these. And this is why I don't want to do all the lines for a pattern, like just boom, boom, boom. Move around your page. Like, build your page. You know, don't get complacent in one little corner just adding lines. Let's just pause for a moment. Now, I'm pausing in the middle of my piece, so I want to teach you a little trick that you can do if you want to know where you are when you're in the middle of a pattern that might be a little bit more intricate, and so you want to keep moving. You can just put a very small dot where you need to start your next line, and then just incorporate that into the next line. That's how I do it. So we always want to close our tools when we're not drawing. Let our shoulders drop, close our eyes. Take a nice deep breath in and hold it, and exhale. Give your shoulders a little shake, and let's do one more breath. Breathe in, hold that breath, and exhale. There we go. Okay, now because I put down that dot, I know exactly where I am. I don't have to look on my pattern to figure it out, and I just bring it in, and it was just a tiny dot, so you can see it just incorporated right into the line. No problem. So now, this line, I'm going to let it come around this as well before it goes on. I'm going to add that one in, because I could have gone behind it, but I chose to instead go around it. And the lovely thing about these repeating patterns is that even if you mess up, nobody knows, because it's all just hidden within the repeating patterns. So the only person that ever knows that something didn't turn out the way your head wanted it to turn out is you. Nobody else. So just allow it to grow organically. I never, ever have a plan when I begin. Like, I had no idea how this was going to unfold, how I was going to draw it. I knew what I was going to draw, but I didn't know how it was going to come on. Because it's so important just to let things happen. I love it when opportunities start to present themselves. Some people call them mistakes. In Zen Tangle speak, we call them opportunities, because it allows you to take your tangle to perhaps a place that you didn't expect it to go. And that's always fun. I'm going to close this one off with a shape. Never done that before. That's fun. Huh, I like that. Okay, there we go. Another way to do what we're doing. I've got a shape in here too. Oh, this is fun. Here is a perfect example of an opportunity. Now with this tangle, if we had followed the way that I told you I was going to teach it, which was, it's traditional. I mean, I have no idea. This is just somebody's tangle that I found online. I don't even know whose it is, to be honest. It's really just an opportunity to have some fun. But it was probably drawn traditionally by the person who created it differently. Well, it was than this. But this is how we're doing it. Doesn't that look like fun? Nice close up to the camera here. Okay, so when you step back and look at your piece from a distance, you get a different perspective of it, and it helps you to see opportunities with a piece. So I can see, oh, I'm so pleased with that. Okay, I'm really, really pleased. I can see where I want to go with it. So now I want to color in these spaces, but I want to use a gray. So I am going to use one of these Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua dual markers. I'm going to use the cold gray, and I really like a brush tip. So I'm going to go in with the brush tip, and I am going to just add a bit of color to each one of these. Now, normally I don't do this sort of thing until my piece is finished, but I'm just feeling like an overwhelming desire to do this, so we're going to do it. You do you. Follow your bliss. Seriously. Always do what makes you happy in life. so important. I'm probably rubbing too hard. I'm using Bristol paper. Like I said, my hands are quite shaky today. We have a mama bird who has created a nest in one of our ferns. And we are all eagerly awaiting the eggs to hatch. And when I say we, I have 5 indoor cats and 3 outdoor cats. So we are all waiting for these eggs to hatch. And they're in a place where I think they're safe. So I think the mom did a good choice choosing where she made her nest. If I can get a bit of video of it, we'll add some B-roll in. Oh, I missed that. I missed quite a few actually. Why didn't you guys tell me? Yell at the screen. You missed that one! Because I'll hear you. Okay, so as you can see, it changes it quite dramatically, just adding in a little bit of shading. And I mean, I didn't even do a good job of it. I just sort of tossed some gray in there. But let's keep working on the shading because I want to. So I'm going to go in with a black marker this time, and I'm going to make it so that we've got some areas here that are like a little bit more dark than others. I want to start bringing in a bit of 3D here. So I'm imagining my light source is over here. And that's a really natural light source. That's like, I don't know if you have a light source that you use naturally when you draw, but that's how I do portraits. I often look for the same light source. Not on purpose, it just always happens. You know, that part of your style that you can't help but do. It's how you know what your style is in anything. It's what you can't help. You do it regardless. That's your style. There you go. So adding some black in again. Just hold it up for myself so that it's away from me and I can see it from a distance. It helps me make my next choices. So I'm going to go back in with a pen again. This time though, I think I'm going to use the larger one. I think I was using the 10 and this is the 12, and this is really big. Normally I would never use something this big for Zentangle, but I really want the lines to show up well for you guys. So now that we've done this tangle, I want to show you another one. So this one was called Tabs, and the next one that I want to do for you is called Footlights. And I think actually I'm going to draw it this way just for fun. Okay, so this, I really like this tangle. So just do a curve, and then I'm going to have you come up and just sort of do the beginning of a fan where you draw over the same line coming down. And then we're just going to slowly fan our way down. Now these can be really perfect, or it can be more like something that I would draw, which is very not perfect. There we go. So this is called Footlights. So the idea is that it looks like a light, a footlight coming off a stage. And so you can draw these in any direction you want to. And add as many as you want. I look at it more as a plant than a light, to be honest. I really see this as a very organic looking tile. I want another one, but I want it over in this corner. So I'm going to have just the top of it sort of showing. I'm going to turn this so that it's better for my wrist. And I'm going to bring this out and then bring it back. This then, put another one growing out of it in this direction. Oh, that's kind of fun. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to close my pen. I'm going to go back in with, ooh, my candle is warm. Don't put your hand in the flame. It doesn't feel good. Anyways, just a thought. Safety warning, do not put hands in flames. Okay, so I'm going to go in. I think I'm going to go in with this sort of pink, what's it called? Hyacinth. It's the Faber-Castell Hyacinth. I'm going to go in with it. I'm not quite sure how pink it is, so I'm a little bit nervous, but let's find out. I think I'm going to add it in. Oh, okay, it's not really at all. I'm going to add it in. Very cool gray. Definitely has that whole purple vibe going on it. I'm just shading in these shapes that I did, that I added in to the art. I'm just doing it. I wish I had something that was a bit of a darker gray. I don't really. I'm going to try using a few lines of this. So I want to do a nice dark shadow underneath this holland bough. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to go along. I'm going to lock my shoulder and I'm just going to pull along and I'm just going to keep going all the way down. And then I'm going to do it again to try and just darken this more. I don't want it to be as dark as black, though. There we go. Okay, and then I can put a little bit of shadow here so that this is shaded just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go a lighter gray. This is a cool gray. I'm just mixing my cools and warms. Look at me, I'm just like, oh, I'm breaking all the rules. I just really want that line to stand out. This pen, have it work best for me. Oh, that didn't work very well at all, did it? That's okay. That just made my line a little bit more wonky. I like it. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go straight on in with black here. Like this line, I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to replace this bottom line with solid black. I'm just pulling back with my shoulder. If you want to make straighter lines, that's all you got to do is just pull back with your shoulder. And make sure that your page is in the right position when you start. Go in and touch anything up. I won't touch that. Not too worried about it though. Okay, let's see how that's looking. Okay, that's starting to pull that up. You see, this line is starting to pull away from these lines, and that's what I want. So I'm just going to go under it one more time with my same gray. I'm just going to have it go a bit further this time so that it's a longer sweep going across so that it looks like the shadow is higher up than it is. There we go. That achieved what I was going for. All right, the rest of the shading of this one, I think I will go in with this gray. I'm just looking for places where the lines we're crossing. So I just want to add in a little bit more shading to sort of like accentuate the fact that this came in here. And just follow bits around. And see if we can just find all the spots where I didn't do very much of it. Not very much of it touching, actually. I'm going to add some shading onto the bottom of this fan. And then this one as well, just from the bottom. Just light brush strokes up. Makes it look more natural at the end if you work from the darker part and just brush up. And then these here can have a bit of a shadow to them as well. Shading is just sort of, well, for me it's essential. I have to shade things. I'm a real 3D texture kind of person. And so, but it's up to you. If you don't want to shade, don't shade. Leave things unshaded if you want. Okay, I'm feeling like that's really nice where it is, but it's kind of boring in the center. So let's do something that'll add some interest. So I'm going to go in with my smaller of my two pens, and I'm going to come up into this top section, and I really like to work off corners, so I'm not going to let myself do that because I want to challenge myself. So I'm just coming in and I'm just adding some lines that are curved, two of them together. Now, in my last class, I taught you how to do any shoe. And so this is like another variation of doing that. Here we go. So I'm going to start just here because it's easy. And I'm going to come around and allow my ends to flick. But I'm going to come and make it more of a petal shape. And I'm going to keep turning. I'm going to do another one here. They don't have to be any, you know, particular shape, size, nothing. Just keep going, just to add something that's got a little bit more visual interest to the center section. Doesn't seem quite finished to me. And I do love an organic feeling tile. There. Okay. So now we can fill this with anything we want, but I'm going to use any shoe. So I am going to come along just like we did last week, and I'm going to flick out. I'm going to let lines touch and not touch. I'm going to weave back and forth because I don't like it when I just work from one side. I find that it becomes quite unbalanced. But sometimes I like it to be unbalanced, so I don't want to just work back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, same. Add something different in here. Yeah, that adds a bit more visual interest, and I'm just going to keep turning it. So this is it. Like, how simple is this? Look at how pretty this flower is going to be when it's done. And so you can turn this into a flower. You can turn it into sunbeams. You can turn it into anything you want. Or nothing at all. This is non-representational art. So don't feel that anything has to look like anything. Take a nice, beautiful, deep breath in. You don't have to stop doing art if you don't want to, or you can. That nice breath in and hold and exhale. When I taught in-person classes, it was always interesting to listen to everybody slowly stop breathing. Like, you'd hear people breathing, and then slowly it would get quieter and quieter, that they weren't really breathing. So it was always a good indication that it was time to pause for a breath. So whenever you notice that you're not breathing, take a moment. Okay, here's something that I haven't taught you guys yet. If you want to add something like a little sparkle to your piece, pause your line in the same place. Not too many times, because it becomes too much if you do too much of it. But then it becomes this little sparkle that you see on the page. A little sparkle of light. And then we can go in some shading. I'm going to go in with the gray. I'm very happy with the handful of tools I grabbed today. Part of what I'm doing with all of you is that I just challenged myself. I literally just grabbed a handful and thought, okay, we'll make this work. So it's a nice way to sort of challenge myself as well. So you can always do the same. Before you open up my class, just bring something with you. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add a few of my portals. I really like the look of those when they're in a shape like this. There we go. I like that. Okay, and then I always like to add some little sparkles here and there before I'm done. It's just a dot in the center. And then however many dots on the outside. That's it. There you go. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that you had a good time. It was nice to just hang out with you in my garden. Let's do it again soon. Bye for now.